Dry Hollow, population 2019, was the kind of place that barely registered on maps, lost somewhere between pine-covered hills and the slow death of old mining towns. It was the sort of town where everyone knew everyone, and secrets never stayed buried. At least, not for long. On the night of December 3rd, during the first heavy snow of the season, a lone traveler entered Murphy's taproom. He wore a dark trench coat, boots caked in mud, and a tired look of someone who had seen too much of the world. Locals recalled how he paused at the door, like he was sizing the place up, or perhaps memorizing it. He introduced himself simply as John, and took the corner booth furthest from the jukebox and closest to the back exit. He ordered a whiskey, paid in cash. Didn't make small talk. But he watched everyone. Lisa, the bartender, would later say there was something about him that felt out of sync, like he didn't belong to the time we were in. He had this haunted calm. By 9:43 p.m., John was gone, but no one saw him leave. The next morning, his gray sedan still sat outside Murphy's, engine cold, doors unlocked. Inside, deputies found a passport, Jonathan R. Webb, age 43, issued 3 months prior, a black notebook filled with strange shorthand and sketches of what looked like town landmarks, and a 1979 Polaroid of 3 children by a lake, one with a circle drawn in red pen over the youngest boy. The town's sheriff, Dean Clayton, opened an official missing persons case, but something about the whole thing bothered him deeply. John hadn't checked in at any hotel. There were no receipts, no credit card activity, no cell phone. Security footage from Murphy's revealed something even stranger. At exactly 9:36 p.m., the feed glitched into static for 7 full minutes. When it resumed, John's booth was empty. The door hadn't opened. No one had moved. That's when Deputy Roy Leland stepped in. Leland was a 30-year veteran of the Dry Hollow PD, a man who had once worked narcotics out of state before a transfer brought him to this sleepy town. He was known for being a little too intense for small-town policing, quiet, stern, and overly protective of certain files. The moment Sheriff Clayton asked him to review the bar footage, something shifted. Leland volunteered to take over the case. He dismissed the disappearance as a drifter walking off into the woods, claimed the Polaroid was a fake, and told Lisa not to get hysterical. Then the notebook disappeared from the evidence room. Sheriff Clayton, furious, confronted Leland, who claimed the book had never been logged properly. But Lisa insisted she saw Clayton hand it to him directly. 2 days later, Sheriff Clayton was hospitalized after a sudden car accident. His brakes failed driving down Hunter's Ridge. The official report blamed weather conditions. Leland was appointed acting sheriff while Clayton recovered. That's when Maggie Coleman, a retired librarian and local historian, came forward. She recognized the lake in the Polaroid, Lake Hemlock, just outside town. And more disturbingly, she recognized the child in the red circle, Jonathan Webb, a 14-year-old who drowned in 1979 under mysterious circumstances. The other 2 children in the photo were his siblings. Maggie remembered the funeral vividly, but the man in the bar, captured faintly on camera, looked exactly like an adult version of the drowned boy. When Clayton returned to duty, he dug deeper into the old drowning case and found that Deputy Leland had worked in the same county where Webb allegedly died, under a different badge name. It wasn't just coincidence. Leland had falsified his identity. When confronted, he claimed he'd transferred from out of state after a clean sweep of old files. but Clayton found sealed documents and classified investigations linking Leland to Cold War-era experiments involving children, memory suppression, and military psychological trials, including a project named Hemlock Protocol. Sheriff Clayton tried to reopen the missing persons case and press charges against Leland, but found himself stonewalled by federal agents who arrived within 48 hours of his inquiries. They seized all related evidence, the notebook, footage, and even the original Polaroid, claiming national security concerns. Clayton was placed on administrative leave. Murphy's Taproom was quietly bought by a private holding company and shut down. Lisa left town shortly after, reportedly shaken and unwilling to talk. Leland vanished. No forwarding address. No resignation. Just gone. To this day, locals speak of the man who walked into the bar and disappeared. Some believe he was Jonathan Webb, somehow alive. Others whisper about government projects buried deep in Cold War secrecy. But a few remember the words John allegedly muttered to Lisa just before finishing his drink. The lake lied, "But I didn't drown." Every December 3rd, a single glass of whiskey is left at the booth where he once sat, by whom no one knows. And every year, someone sees a tall man in a trench coat walking down the snowy main street of Dry Hollow. But he never looks back.